Today we're finishing a short series that we're calling Habits, and undoubtedly this is the time when many of us are thinking about a new year and what that would mean for our lives. And so some of you are making resolutions, some of you aren't, but you're thinking about how can I make my life different. Some of you are thinking about I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to lose weight, we're going to do things different with our marriage or family or money, what have you. Typically what happens when we turn a year, we start thinking about these things. Now, what we could have done in this series is that we could have focused on those things themselves. Instead, what we've chosen to do is to address the things that will help make our lives better, sort of like serving as a foundation. For instance, instead of like Dan talking about weight loss last week, he talked about how reading your Bible every day will fill your mind with God's thoughts and will transform your behavior even when you're not even thinking about it, as Romans 12:1 says. Today what I want to do is I want to talk about the need for developing strong Christian friendships over this next year. And so turn in your Bibles to the Book of Proverbs. It's a book in the Old Testament, and if you're new today for the very first time, you should have received a Bible on your way in. We want you to take that, open up the front cover, put your name on it. That's our church's gift to you. The Book of Proverbs, speaking of needing to read the Bible if you want to do it every day, it has 31 chapters. You can read one chapter a day. Today's what, the fourth or the fifth? You just turn to the fourth chapter and you read that whole chapter, and you do it one chapter a day every day. Let me tell you why I love the Book of Proverbs. One is it's very, very practical. In fact, the very first line in the book of Proverbs begin, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for gaining wisdom. And that word wisdom in Hebrew is the Hebrew word chokmah, which, if you can help me out, get some phlegm in your throat, lean to the person next to you and say, chokmah. Can you do that? Right? And it's the Hebrew word for a tool, like a garden tool. And literally for like a garden tool or something you would use, or metaphorically, the book of Proverbs is an accumulation of insights about how to improve your life, how to improve your relationships, how to improve every aspect of your lives. For instance, Proverbs 6:9-11 says, "How long will you lie there, you sluggard?" Now, how many of you had maybe a break from work and you had a chance to sleep in? Felt pretty good, right? Proverbs 6:9 says, "How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When you get up from your sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man." And basically what the verse is saying is that if you look at people who are making life work, they get up early in the morning. They don't waste time. They don't allow time to escape from them. They manage their time well. The other reason I love the book of Proverbs is it's in-your-face honest. It's like that, it's like Dr. Phil of the Bible. Looks at you in the eye, it pulls no punches. Let me give you some examples of that. Proverbs 29:20, "Do you see someone who speaks in haste? There is more hope for a fool than for them." Proverbs is like, hey, you know what? Learn about your tongue, or you're just going to look stupid in front of people. Proverbs 29:5 says, "Those who flatter their neighbors are spreading nets for their feet." Have you ever met people that just flatter people, I don't know, to get them to like them or something? And Proverbs is like, stop that. You don't have to do that in order to have healthy relationships. Guys, get your pens out. You might want to write this one down. Proverbs 21:9 says, "Better to live on the corner of a roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife." Now, the Book of Proverbs was written 3,000 years ago, so it was written in patriarchal language. It's gender exclusive, but it's meant to be unisex in nature. So if you're sitting next to your husband, say, "Dude, trust me, I'm the one that needs to be on the roof," right, with your complaining, right? But nowhere in the book of Proverbs is it more in our faces than concerning our need for real friends. What the book of Proverbs does is two things. It convicts us of our shallowness of what we Americans call friendship, and then it models for us what real friendships look like and how we can begin them. And so to get us started, here's what I need you to do. Everybody grab a pen and your sermon notes. I want you to write down the first names of your 5 closest friends. You cannot put the name of your spouse or the name of your children. Okay? First names, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Write down the first names of the top 5 closest friends you have. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Ready? Go. What is this? I thought we were doing Jeopardy. We're not doing Jeopardy? It works. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the love. All right. 15 seconds. If someone's not writing, look at them and say, you're not my friend. You're not on my list. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Now, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. From the perspective of the book of Proverbs, are these people really your friends? Let me tell you what I mean by that. Proverbs 12:26 says this, the righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. In other words, Proverbs is saying life is too short to get this one wrong. Who you pick and allow to become your close friends is going to chart the trajectory of your life. You choose poorly, you're going to end up in a ditch. You choose wisely, these people are going to become the people that are going to propel you forward to become the person that God created you to be. As John Eldredge said in his book, Waking the Dead, he said, when he left Rivendell, Frodo didn't head out with 1,000 elves. He had 8 companions. Jesus didn't march around backed by hundreds of followers either. He had 12 men, sure, knuckleheads, every last one of them, but they were a band of brothers. And this is the way of the kingdom of God. Though we are a part of a great company, the larger church, we are meant to live in little platoons. The little companies we form must be small enough for each of the members to know one another as friends and as allies. Is it possible for 5,000 people who gather for an hour on a Sunday morning to really and truly know each other? Okay, how about 500, he says, 108? It can't be done. They can't possibly be intimate allies. It can be inspiring and encouraging to celebrate with a big old crowd of people, but who will fight for your heart? And so what Proverbs is doing, he's calling people to real, genuine friendships and the power that those friendships bring. And so what I've done is I've made a list using the book of Proverbs sort of as a guide of 4 pseudo friends. Typically, we Americans call people friends where the book would call them pseudo friends. They're more of acquaintances. They're nice people, but they're not genuinely our friends. So what I want to do is let me go through all 4 of these, and you see if any of these match the names that are on your list, okay? Number 1, best friends from childhood. Don't raise your hands, but how many of you had on your list best friends from childhood? Inevitably, there are a bunch of people in the room who have that one person that they know from childhood that they can call on the phone and just pick right up, right exactly where they left off. I have that. My friends, I remember my daughter years ago asked me the question, who's your best friend? And that's easy, I said, and I named a friend from childhood, and it seemed weird when it left my mouth. Yeah, we were best friends from childhood, and yeah, I can call him up at any time and we can pick right up, but he doesn't know the true condition of my heart right now. He's not helping me right now. I'm not helping him right now. He's an acquaintance. He's a pseudo friend. Here's the second group. Many of you might have put these people on your list, affinity friends. An affinity is a common interest. Like these are your golfing buddies or your football buddies or the people you go to games with or whatever. Typically in this area, a really big affinity friend happens to be the parent that you sit next to when you're lugging your chairs to all of your kids' events, right? Starting with preschool all the way up through high school and to college. There's a commonality of this collective affinity that you have with these parents who are going to band and karate and all the sporting events, but are they still there when it's over? Are they still with you? Would you consider them real friends? Here's a third one. Work friends. We spend so much time at work that we actually get kind of confused about being friendly with people and them actually being our friends. Now, I think work can be a good place to start friendships, but if you didn't work at that place anymore, would you actually be spending time with them anymore? Do they know the true condition of your soul? Are they actually building into your life, or if work was gone, would they be gone as well? Here is a big one that is controversial in this area, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say it. I'm friends with my children, pseudo friends. We're so busy and we love our children so much that it's very, very easy, and I hear this all the time from people in this area, my kids are my best friends. If you say that, when those words come out of your mouth, you need to grab the closest book and hit yourself on the forehead. Friendship, as it's defined in the Bible, if you actually have one with one of your children, would be one of the creepiest things you could do in life. Because as we'll look at when we get into the Book of Proverbs of what happens in there, they can't possibly be your friends unless you are incredibly unhealthy. Now, of course, we love our kids. We're willing to die for our kids. And we're friendly and we want to spend time with our kids. But what is done with real friends and what is done with children is fundamentally different. Your kids need you not to be your friends. They may not say that. They may not even understand it. But they need you not to be their friends. They need you to be their mom. They need you to be their dad. I just want to say time out because I know some of you have already checked out from this message. All right? And you're like, man, I wish I had come a different day. What are we talking about? I'm telling you, this is incredibly important. Proverbs 12:26 says, the righteous choose their friends carefully. In other words, where you want to go in life, who you want to be, who you want to become is going to be largely dependent upon who you surround yourself with or whether you surround yourself with anyone at all. We could focus on surface level stuff. Hey, go to LA Fitness and get a membership. Or, you need to stop smoking and go get the nicotine patch and that sort of thing. But fundamentally, nothing has changed about your life. You're going to change one other thing that you wish you had changed for that one. You're going to change smoking for something else and this for that, but fundamentally undergirding it all, nothing has changed. It's all surface level stuff. G.K. Chesterton, one of my favorite writers, had a journalist write him one day, and he asked the question, could you answer this question for me? What is meant by the fall? Now, the fall in church world is referring to that initial action of Adam and Eve when they sinned and then sent the world spiraling. And we all followed suit. So he was saying, what is meant by this? What happened as a result of that? Chesterton wrote back to the journalist a very short reply. He said this, to the question, what is meant by the fall, I could answer with complete sincerity that whatever I am not myself. Whatever I am right now, I am not myself. And undoubtedly, I am speaking with a lot of people in this room that right now, they are not themselves. And they know it deep down in their soul, fundamentally as a human being, at the core of who they are not themselves right now. And so my challenge for you is this, to develop new friendships with devout, real Christians who will challenge you, and you will become the person that God created you to be as a result. Like, they're literally going to challenge you. I'm not talking about these playing around, convenient people that attend church on a somewhat regular basis who that you somehow feel this religious connection to. I'm talking about, when was the last time you were in the presence of someone where you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt they were light years ahead of you spiritually? Like, it was an honor to be in the presence of someone who actually knows God and talks to God versus, I'm going to get together with a group of people and we're going to, have a glass of wine and we're going to talk a little bit about the Bible and we're going to hang out. The Bible talks in the book of Proverbs about two fundamental activities that happen in real friendships. And the first one is time. Proverbs 13:20 says this, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." And this phrase, walk with or walking with, if you're going to walk with God, it's a metaphor for spending time with someone. And ironically, this is the biggest excuse that we give for not developing friendships. I just don't have the time. I'm so busy. And so we will settle down in our lives all the way down to the base minimum of what we need to function. And then we wonder why we aren't who God created us to be. Whatever I am, it's not normal, it's not right now, but we're just living down here at this base level. We don't have people around us who are going to nurture us and build us up and challenge us. The second thing that happens in the book of Proverbs when it comes to friendship is heart. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else," trust me on this, "whatever you do, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." That whole phrase of guarding is huge. The vast majority of people, the book of Proverbs is saying, should not have access to your heart. Some people should. Some of you have been in relationships where you have given your heart to someone that you had no business giving your heart to. Some of you have had friendships with people where you have disclosed parts of who you are, and that never should have happened. But when you have someone that is in your presence that loves God and loves you unconditionally, and they're going to take your secrets to the grave, and they aren't going to take your crap, and they know when you're lying, and they are going to call you on the carpet, and they're going to push you forward and make you better as a human being, that is the person that you share your heart with. When I was going through college, there was this Christian singer. His name was Michael Card. Bright lyricist, great thinker. He went to Western Kentucky University, Michael Card did, and while he was there, he became friends with a professor, Dr. William Lane. In my library at home, I have a shelf of books from Dr. William Lane. Brilliant Christian and New Testament professor. Well, Michael Card and Lane developed a friendship while he was going through there in graduate school that carried with them through life. And Card said, "This was the guy who showed me what it looked like to authentically live like Jesus." And so a few years ago, William Lane contracted a rare form of cancer. And he called Michael up on the phone. And he said, "Hey, Michael, I have cancer. I'm coming to live near you." And Card was like, "Well, I would be honored if you would come to live near me, but why all of a sudden do you want to come live near me?" And Card said that Lane told him, "The reason I want to come near you is because I want to show you what it looks like for a Christian man to die." Do you have someone like that in your life? I mean, forget, honestly, the guys in the room, the bravado and your inability to develop intimacy with people, and your brashness and your cynicism. Just drop that for a second. Who actually knows who you are as a human being? Fundamentally, for men, the way male pattern friendships work is there are little pieces that people know, but there's no one person that knows. There's someone who knows us at work. There's someone who knows us in the neighborhood. There's someone who knows us at home. There's someone who knows us doing things, golfing or going to football or watching games or whatever. And there's this and this and this. But there's no one person that says, "I know the real you." Time, heart, real friendships. Listen to what Proverbs says happens in real friendships. "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." You want to know what people look for in friendships in this area? People who can help them have a fun time. Let's do this. Let's get together. Let's have that party. Throw the alcohol out. Let's go. Let's loosen up. Let's do this. Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." Now, why is that the case? It's because of this. Please write this down. Living with a band of brothers and sisters who care more about helping you become holy than helping you become happy is the key to making life work. Woo! Let's do this. We're going to the game. We're going on vacation. We're getting together. I love being around him. Man, oh yeah. Just want to blow off some steam. And we wonder why we aren't ourselves. This is why Valley Kids and Impact and Ride is so important to those of you who call yourselves Christians and your parents. These are not optional activities for kids. I mean, sure, yeah, you might say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do the absolute base minimum. I'm going to show up occasionally. But you know what? Your kids don't stand a chance in school if they don't have strong Christian friends around them. I mean, they don't have a prayer. Not a prayer. This is why, most importantly, for you, groups are vital. We have Christian groups in our church, over 50. You go to moviechurch.com/groups. There's every conceivable group that you can go to. Occasionally, someone will come up to me and say, yeah, okay, but you don't have one for people that love to drink milkshakes on camels. I'm like, got me. You got me there. Well, maybe you should start the milkshake drinking camel group. That would be quite a hit, right? Or the llama group or whatever you want to do. But these are pseudo friends that you've surrounded yourself with. Finally, here's my favorite thing that happens in real friendships. Proverbs 18:24 says, one who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin. But why is it there are certain people that have a friend that sticks closer than a brother? A few years ago, we were in the other building. We were very, very small at the time. The vast majority of you have no knowledge of this particular situation. But there was a person on staff that everyone loved. And unbeknownst to anyone, this person had issues that were life-controlling, difficult issues that I had been working with this person for about 2 years, behind the scenes and counseling, all this kind of stuff. And eventually it got to the point where the cat got out of the bag. It just got too much. And one thing led to another, and I had to fire this person immediately. There's one thing to show grace to a person, to do everything you can, but eventually you cross the line. So the problem was everyone in the church loved this staff member. And so I wrote a letter and then sent it to my leadership team, emailed it to our leadership team and said, okay, everyone knows what's been going on behind the scenes for 2 years, but no one else in the congregation knows. So I'm going to look really stupid and people are going to hate me and not like me and say very bad things about me unless I share what the story is. So here's the letter from beginning to end. And then to a person, they all emailed me back and said, we understand why you want to send that, but there's a letter that you write, and then there's a letter that you send. The letter that you're going to send is going to say, this person was in our employment. This person is no longer capable of being a pastor because of their behavior. If they have any questions, they can talk to you. Sincerely, Brian. That's the sum total of it. I said, if I send that, people will completely freak out and leave the church. And everyone on the leadership team said, who cares? It's the right thing to do. So I followed the leadership team's advice, and I sent a letter to the congregation, which basically, very benignly, said these things. And sure enough, exactly as I predicted it, there was a mass exodus by a lot of people. There was an endless 3-week period of time where I constantly got barraged with emails, questioning my character and my judgment, and I'm not a real Christian, and I'm not a healthy leader, and went on and on and on. It was terrible, just a terrible time. So one particular day, I think I had gotten about 30 emails, and a whole bunch of people were leaving, and I'm at dinner, and I'm in this zombie. You've ever been in this situation? I'm in this zombie. People are talking. I'm not really listening. And my daughter says, Dad, I would like to get a hermit crab, and you promised me I could get a hermit crab. And it was the perfect time because I was like, let's go get you that hermit crab. I don't remember the hermit crab promise, but I don't care. I just would love to get out of the house and go, I need something to get my mind off of this. So 2 of us hopped in a car. went down the road to a pet store that didn't have hermit crabs. As I'm coming out of this place, I bump into a friend of mine here at this church, a real friend of mine. He looked at me and he was like, dude, who shot your dog? I said, I can't say anything, man. I can't, but trust me, everyone in the church hates me right now, but if they knew the real story, they would feel terrible for what they're saying about me right now, but I just can't say anything. Then he looked at me and he said, I just want you to know something. I know you can't give me the specifics, but I want you to know I've got your back. Okay? I trust you. I got your back. And then you know I'm not a real crier. You can probably count on one finger the time you've seen me cry. I just start bawling. I get in the car, and my daughter asks me, why are you crying? And I said, honey, these are good tears. One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin. But there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother.